Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Invest Hong Kong, I would like to welcome all of you. This morning, we are very honored to have two sessions with many distinguished speakers from various fields to share their views. My name is Alan, and I'm the MC for today. Welcome. Before we get started, I would like to take a couple of minutes to remind our participants of the following points. This session will be conducted in English with simultaneous interpretation. For on-site audiences, you may take the headsets from the table at the entrance. For online audiences, the microphones and videos for all audience will be muted at all times. If you wish to ask any questions, please submit your questions through the Q&A function. We may not be able to address all the questions during the session. Any unanswered questions will be replied individually via email after the webinar. The topic of the first session today is climate change, climate action, and sustainability. May I invite the first speaker, Dr. Vincent Chang, Fellow and Director of Climate and Sustainability Service of ARUP, to share with us the climate and sustainability challenges in Hong Kong 2050. Please give a warm round of applause to Mr. Dr. Vincent Chang.
Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure here to share our experience and also the company I work with, which is ARUP, in sustainability and also climates throughout the past few years. But I'd like to focus more on what's going to happen in the futures, in particular on our journey leading to the carbon neutrality by 2050s. Before I do my presentation, I'd like to thank, of course, Invest Hong Kong to having me here to share our kind of experience on that. This is topics I like to cover. Of course, I don't have crystal ball myself, but I do like to share some of the insights on the climate actions and also the practices that have been in actions in the industry. And more importantly, I think most of you are looking for some investment opportunities and where these actually will be leading to. So these hopefully can give you ideas what will be the future look like. On the carbon actions, we know that climate change is a matter of very much uncertainties, but there's something is quite certain. So we know that in the next 10 years, we're suffering mostly on the climate action failure, meaning that we still will emit a lot of carbon dioxide and also other global warming gas to atmosphere. And we're still facing many extreme weathers that will affect our life. And I think also more importantly that it's only about ourselves. I mean, it's entire the ecosystem, the planets, and the biodiversity, what we call, will also suffer huge loss. So globally, that works in these two areas. We know that on mitigations that fronts, I mean, that we have all our partners, Siemens and others, actually is working hard to help us to lower the emissions and more importantly, to help to decarbonize the power, electricity in particular, that's supplied to the cities. But we also need to look into the issues of adaptations. Of course, we have to build the resilience, not only our system, our buildings, but more importantly, our communities. We have to recover after those severe catastrophe. Of course, we are not working alone. We know that worldwide there's a very strong alliance. In fact, all leading countries are working on the plans to carbon neutral or decarbonization process, including our country, that we make that commitments by 2060 that we will be fully neutralized on that. But if you look into the details, it's not the 2060. It's a particular juncture. It's another key days, which is 2030. It's also important. This is where the country actually make the commit that the carbon will be peak, emission will be peak by 2030s. So because of that, starting 2020, when we make that commitments, that national and subnational kind of level have carried out a lot of initiative, in particular that one on carbon emissions tradings that's initiated early last year's. as a kind of key milestone in the developments. Of course, there are more activities on initiative and regulations to help to populate the upticks of the PV, the reductions, and more importantly, the transformation of the industry to move away the kind of carbon lock-ins in the coming years become the focus of that. So by 2030s, I think there's a plan that we could reduce the carbon intensity by more than 65% across all the sectors in the industry. Likewise, in Hong Kong, that our governments actually, our governments have made the commitments that we will be neutralized by 2050s, 10 years earlier than the national targets. Because of that, I mean, these 2 years that the government actually formulate a lot of policy, and more importantly, engage different sectors, professionals and practitioners, and more importantly, the business sectors to work together to develop solutions for ways, a solution for building efficiency, and also the solutions on the adoption of renewable energy. So I think hopefully by 2035 that we will reduce our overall energy use in building by lower by 20% for residential, or 15% in commercial buildings. That is actually a great achievement. Bear in mind that most of our building right now, which I'll elaborate more, are stranded. We did need some attention on that. And of course, that the RE and other renewable energy is also a focus of that. So hopefully by 2035 that we will have our grids be 60% lower than what's carbon emits due to power generations. So all together that will help to keep us on track to the 2050 commitments on that. So in a nutshell, that decarbonization is a key, although adaptations and resilience also focus, but that decarbonization key is we need to develop our own low carbon economy, and more importantly, to develop more solutions on our technology innovations on the adoptions of RE, EV, and other state-of-the-art technologies. Now I come to the practice. What's being done right now in the industry, and I think we know that this message is very clear that we need to reduce, restore, and remove. Definitely, that's something that we have to work together. So starting from we know the targets. We know we have to reduce by more than 50% of our carbon emissions by 2030s. And starting from that, we have to develop more kind of technologies to restore our natural habitats. And more importantly, that we need to develop the kind of capacities in terms of communities to do even more more far-reaching kind of move, which is the remove of what's been emitted, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, starting from 2050. So these are the kind of pathway we know that we need to run. But specifically in Hong Kong, what's the focus? What exactly the kind of measures that needs to be in place? We know that 90% of our electricity has been used in building, and in fact, buildings as a sector that emits more than 60% of our overall carbon dioxide. So decarbonizations of buildings it's very, very important. We know there's 3 kind of strategy we need to be adopted and in place, which is reduce the demand, reduce the content of energy, and more importantly, that we need to reduce the carbon, embodied carbons that's embedded in the building materials that have been used in our construction industry. So if you look at the trajectory for both operating energies and also embodied energies, we found that design is still where we should focus, because it's then where we can deploy our know-how, our expertise, and more important, and technology in the most efficient way. So that's why these years that in the industry that a lot of we call it advanced net zero design or net zero ready design been in common. we have recently won design competitions organized by Hong Kong Green Building Council called Advanced Net Zero's Idea Competitions. And through that, actually, we have developed many kind of innovative solutions that can be readily deployed in buildings. And gradually, with more mature in technology and the availabilities of resources, we can hopefully adopt all these passive and also active system and also offsets strategy in the building in the most consistent way. As I said, embodied carbon definitely is another focus that well, Green Building Council actually have set a very ambitious target. We know that that embodied carbon will account for 40% or even higher than in the whole overall kind of life cycle emissions. So we have to focus on that also. But that's kind of areas that's difficult to work on. We have targets of reducing from 1,000 kg CO2 per meter square of CFA to 600. And we look at the current kind of setting, which is shown in the lower left-hand corners at current situations. So we found that the kind of embodied carbon embedded in our steel or concretes, which have been widely used in buildings, so already account for 60 or 600 along for high-rise buildings. So you can see it comes challenge. So we have to start from the design to find the most efficient kind of structures, and more importantly, that we should work with other partners to deploy other innovative construction methods like MIC or adopting more kind of renewable materials in order to bring down that into that 600 levels. We can of course use technology, and these days that all designer and also the contractor, they have their kind of a carbon tracking platform that helps to develop that database. And of course, operations, we need to deploy our smart technology, AI, to help our clients to develop that sun space target by incorporating more kind of changes in the operations. And I think more importantly is that we need to start that journey, and that most asset owner, developer, and other company, they have already started that with a kind of a creation of teams, empowered by the boards and all the executive, and work with internal and external partners to start this journey by, for example, delivering, start with the assessment of their stranded kind of assets, building in particular, to develop kind of investment plan on retrofitting and upgrading their system. So other than carbon reduction, that climate modeling is also key, that we see more and more kind of client interest in understanding how risky their investment are subject to the kind of extreme weather, including floods and temperatures, and also the storm surge kind of risk. So we work with our clients and help different sector and identify the risk. And more importantly, that we help to calculate the risk, and also to estimate the kind of investment that needs to mitigate the kind of risks that incur in the assets at portfolio levels. Some leading developer in town actually have took that very seriously, and to engage the internal and also external kind of stakeholders on the kind of efforts they have been putting and addressing these issues. Well, quickly on give you our ideas of where these kind of things will affecting the business. We know it's not only the industry or the policy that's a matter. The business sector certainly is key as well. We know most leading country, including business, including Fortune 500 companies, they have committed on either that SBTI, Sun-Based Target Initiative, or committed 100% RE, or committed on carbon neutrality. So these kind of trends will be happening even more quicker in the coming years. And in parallel, that our controller, financial controller, also taking some measures to regulate things, in particular on the disclosure requirements for listed company, on their measures on both mitigation and also on the adaptations measures to help them, in particular, to provide the information to investor to understand how ready these companies are, prepare for the climate change. So that actually create a kind of opportunity for investment. I mean, we group under called ESG. Within the company that they will spend money to improve the assets, and externally, then that certainly many investors, they are looking for some high yield and better than kind of market values kind of returns investment. I mean, green investment certainly is areas that's worth attention, and it's estimated that this ESG kind of assets will be exceeding 53 trillions by 2050. So you can see a lot of money actually is creating within the financial industry. So that actually will sooner or later, cascade down into the real economy. So we see in the coming years a lot of investment in renewable. We know in Hong Kong that we are planning with 7.5 to 10% of RE coming from, energy coming from RE by 2035. So that's a huge amount. So we will see more kind of wind investment in wind technology, in waste to energies, to solar in Hong Kong, not in the region, the Greater Bay regions. That provide another opportunity for us. Some other more mature kind of assets, green assets, district cooling system, and the government has adopted for all new development areas. So in coming years, we will see more and more just district cooling system that help to lower our energy for coolings for commercial facilities, including northern metropolis and also central waters. Lastly, so not least, resources also a key kind of green investment areas. The government actually have formulated a lot of new facilities for investor, for business partner to work on. In the past, we have a lot of organic waste treatment plants, sludge plants, and other electronic waste treatment plants. So these all together actually help to create markets for investors to invest in Hong Kong, and also work with partners, hopefully, to make that kind of transformation faster and quicker and deeper into our economy, and affecting, of course, helping the kind of transformation also in this Greater Bay areas. So in conclusion, very quickly, that I think it's actually come to this 3 points. First, individual company that we need to influence, we need to accelerate, and more important, we need to maximize the actions to reduce our carbon emissions. And we have to look, from broader, more holistic, wider kind of whole life cycle areas, including embodied carbons and others. So technology is not only about smart operation, it's about the whole life cycle of things of infrastructure and also buildings. But lastly, not the least, we need to collaborate. And so we need people that provide solutions, and we also need people that help to realize and implement that in projects. So that's conclude my presentations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cheng. Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Isaac Yeung, Head of Corporate ESG, Head of Corporate Affairs of Town Gas. Mr. Yeung will be sharing with us risk and opportunity in climate change and energy transition. Mr. Yeung, please.
Okay. Good morning. I got 15 minutes, so you will not be late for your lunch. Thank you very much of the Invest Hong Kong inviting me here to share with you some measures being taken in Hong Kong and China Gas, Thai Gas. Okay, and many people think that climate change is more or less just some kind of promotion but it is not. In Hong Kong China Gas, it is a life and death issue for us because when you see the logo before, we are 160 years anniversary this year. Back in 1862, when we set up the company, there was no electricity. Okay, after 30 years, we got a strong competitor from the electricity. When we first set up the Hong Kong China Gas, we only produce tan gas from coal, and then we send to our customers. That is the Hong Kong government. By then, we supply the 500 street lamps, okay, in the Victoria City. That is the central now. But what would be in future? After 30 years, when the electricity invented, we lost almost all our customers by then. What should we do? The then management found that there was another blue ocean. That is the cooking and heating. For the cooking in Hong Kong, many people, they are just using the woods or other kerosene, etc. But afterwards, we produce our gas and then we send to all over the territory. So we have entered another era of very prosperity future when we have grown for 160 years. But now we face another big challenge. That is because we are using fossil fuel. So if people, they would like to use more RE, then what will be our business? In fact, many Hong Kong people, they still think that we are very dirty because in Chinese Cantonese, 煤氣, that means you are made from coal, but sorry, this is my problem because I'm also responsible for the corporate affairs. Okay, in fact, back in year 2006, we already make use of the natural gas from Australia. Okay, nowadays, our feedstock is almost over 50% is from natural gas, and then almost 48% is from naphtha. This is a very clean fossil fuel, and the other 1 to 2% of our feedstock is landfill gas. When you look into the public data from the Environmental Bureau, you will find that for the whole Hong Kong total GHG, that means the greenhouse gas emission, our operation, that is our production of tan gas in our Taipo plant, only account for only 1% of the total emission. Including the scope 3, our customers, we only account for 5%. So you know all other from other energy generating companies and also from the transport. So for the climate change, the challenge is not just to do more business. In fact, it is our life and death. And the previous speaker already told us that there are very big challenges. In fact, in Hong Kong, you know that in July, we got the very hottest days in Hong Kong, and the longest month, right? The longest hottest month in July. And also in southern China, we got the longest continuous period of high temperature. And also in Pakistan, when you read from the news that once there was over 1/3 of the whole country is underwater, and 33 million people suffered. All of this telling us we are in a very dangerous situation. So what should we do? TCF, I will not go into details because, I'm sorry, going back? Okay. We all know these 4 processes, and I would like to share with you that for the risk management, in fact, I just went to the mainland China with my colleagues a month ago. Although I have to be quarantined for 10 days, we went to visit those sites identified by our consultant that was in high dangers. Now we have almost more than 500 projects all over the whole Chinese mainland. For our revenue, our profit, in fact, we have already have more than 50% of profit making from the mainland China, from our natural gas projects and from our renewable energy projects. So when I visit the site, we found that the danger is not that high because the consultant just make use of the modeling using the computer and also to see whether the location of our plant, they found it was near the river or the Changjiang they name it is very high dangerous, but we found that we have already have many measures to prevent those in danger. So when we return, we downgrade the emergency or the seriousness of that project. So, as I mentioned before, it is life and death for us. So the risks, what are the risks? In Hong Kong, we got the typo plant. When you see, just one moment, sorry. The Hong Kong, we are producing TAN gas. We're supplying to almost 2 million people in Hong Kong, 2 million customers in Hong Kong from our typo plant in the typo industry estate. And also we get another plant in the Ma Tau Kwok, Kowloon. What if our plant being flooded by the water or etc.? We have already done, in fact, we've done this study back in more than 5 years ago to see what are the physical risks. And also for the transition risks, how would be treated by the investor world? Last year, I was responsible for the investor relations department. I met so many fund managers. They asked us many questions. For example, what are you doing about the scope 1, 2, and 3 emission? And why is your then CEO having so many boxes in so many joint ventures, etc.? So for a listed company like us, we have to take it very serious. And then we found these are the risks, but we have already our measures to look into this, how to mitigate this kind of risk. For example, like the photo show here is the our headquarters. We got some gate to prevent for the water flooding, because when our North Point building, the headquarters, built in 1994, our power machine also still located underground. So many risks. What are the opportunities? We have to survive. And then back in last year, we've already renamed our another company, the Tangas China, to Tangas Smart Energy, because we are working into the industrial part in the mainland China. That is, we build the rooftop, the solar panel for those factories in those industrial parts. In mainland China, you know, the Hong Kong, PLC is still the world factory, and the carbon emission mainly emitted by those factories in those industrial estates. So we have our business model is that on the one hand, we are providing natural gas, which is quite a clean fossil fuel, to replace those originally fired by the coal. This is one way. Another hand, we use our technology to help them to use more CHP projects, so to increase the efficiency, that is, to reduce their usage of natural gas. On the other hand, we talk to our customers, hey, how about we install the solar panel at your factory rooftop, and then we give you, say, 10%, 15% discount of the electricity bill on the one hand. On the other hand, we also provide the storage system, etc. for them. And also we work with a big name, the Tencent, for developing, and also with the Tsinghua University, developing a very sophisticated software to help them to monitor the different kind of energy usage during their production time. That is our way to mitigate our risk. And I would like to share with you more about this. Okay, on your left-hand side, this is our North Point building. In fact, it was built in 1994, and we have, for this building, we are proud to tell you that we already got the BREEAM Plus Platinum, and it with 100 score. That means we are the #1. Why we can do this? Because for every year, we do some review on our cooling system, the performance. Also, we have do some study on our electricity usage. And we have changed and modernized the lift system back in 2019, so we can save the electricity by 35%. Also, we have rooftop farming in our building, and we got 67 PV panels generating about 350,000 kilowatt per year. Also, we use the solar waste, our food waste from our canteen to the farm, so we can get so high mass in this. But this is just for us. How about for our customers? And for the right-hand side, the H Center, it is located in Tsim Sha Tsui. It was a building by, of course, our major shareholder, Henderson, but we provide them with two solutions. One, we install the solar panel for them, not to generate electricity, just to heat the water. Number two, we provide them with our tan gas, a dehumidifier. In Hong Kong, the problem is that so many people or the shopping mall, they turn the air conditioning very low because they think it is more comfortable. But in fact, it is due to the high humidity. So what will we do? We use our tan gas, a gas dehumidifier, to lower the humidity of the shopping mall. Then you can have a little bit higher electricity, the aircon temperature, so you can have better feeling, and also you can have a lower electricity bill. So this is our solution for the exchanger. Another one I would like to share with you a bit more in detail is the National Hospital. In fact, the Hong Kong government has already have a law that back in many years ago that if you are using the renewable energy to generate electricity, it is not it is okay. In fact, if there is also two power company. So back in 2017, our then CEO talked to, in fact, the then chairman of the hospital authority talked to our then CEOs that they would like to save the world. They would like to do something. Could we help them? And then we are using the landfill gas from the land, northeastern New Territories, to our Taipo plant as a burning fuel. And then there was a pipeline along, past when the pipeline from the northeastern New Territories landfill site to our Taipo plant. It passed out. It just across nearby the Taipo Lasalle Hospital. We only have to build a 650 meter, not just less than 1 kilometer pipe to there. Is it okay? Not, because you have a site for building this room. This power generating facility, you have to house this. Okay, they just got this site. And then you also have to educate, to communicate with the engineers, the craftsmen, etc. Because previously they just switch on the electricity and then they switch off, and they have to learn more. So we send them to the supplier to Germany to let them to see it is not a difficult one. At the end of the day, the whole hospital can reduce up to 4,500 tons of carbon dioxide, number one. Number two, the efficiency of this landfill gas powered electricity generating facility is about 87%. We all know that for usual power generating is around maybe 50% of efficiency. So that is a very good case as win-win situation. So we are working with another company, the North District Hospital, to have a bigger size, 1.5 megawatt CHP system, and will be going to live in many years later. It's almost 15 minutes now. Okay, maybe give me 5 more minutes. Okay, and for left-hand side is a Maxim Food Factory. It is also located in the Taipo industry. And the beauty of its story is that when we producing our TAN gas in Taipo plant, we will emit steam. Okay, when you see from some MV, we are not ejecting some toxic gas, we just steam. So we collect those steam, just waste heat to the medicine factory, and then we use making it to dehumidifier. Okay, for them, because they making food like the mooncake, etc. They need the dehumidifier. So this is also another win-win situation. And how about in mainland China? In mainland China, I just like to share with you a very good case. That is the HVO, hydro-treated vegetable oils. In Europe, the RED2, they have to have this kind of HVO into their field, about 10%. So it is very good business because the whole process is zero emission. And also, we also doing the organic waste resource utilization in the Suzhou Industrial Park. It was a very typical case that so many government officials from all around the whole country to visit, because all the waste being processed turned into resources. Like we produce the natural gas, and then we supply the natural gas to nearby the TAN gas China, and also all the another residues sending to the nearby fire-dried power plant. So it is a very completed cycle. And we also issue the bond, linked the bond in this year, early this year. Last two slides. Okay, hydrogen, because you can see in the world, we are just only, as far as we know, there are only two places is providing manufactured gas. One is in Hong Kong, another one is in Singapore, because we are learning from the UK. So only these two places have the manufactured gas, and the manufactured gas, we got 49% of hydrogen. You know, when you are using hydrogen, not just the cost is very high for the green hydrogen, but for the transportation, it's very difficult and dangerous. So in Hong Kong, we got over 3,600 or 700 kilometers of this kind of, we can just nearby, say, the bus depot nearby, and then we can build this facility to take out the hydrogen, and then we can provide this for you. Of course, the whole carbon emission will not be decreased, but if you are using if the transport, like the bus, are using hydrogen, then you can reduce the air pollutants. The roadside air quality will be enhanced a lot, and we will live longer. So in order to survive for another 160 years, we launched the Terra Award. And in fact, we are looking to the whole world to see any new and smart solution for using new kind of energy for our next generation. That is what we have been doing. And for this year, we are also still opening for entries. Okay, this is the last one. And just saying that we are doing so good. So no need to tell anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Young. Thank you. And now we would like to invite Mr. Kenny Chan, Vice President of Siemens Energy, to talk about energy solution for decarbonization goal. May I now hand over to Mr. Chan, please. Please give a warm round of applause to Mr. Chan.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you for Invest Hong Kong for having me to share some of our experience and also our idea about decarbonizations in globally here. So the topics today, we are talking about energy solution for the decarbonization goal. So I believe the previous speaker, we talked about the challenge we have for decarbonization for quite a while already. So we know that we are paying the cost, which is a lot, 160 billion loss over the worldwide. So how we tackle this challenge? So if we have a look at the COP21, actually by that time we have a national agreement that we have to cap our carbon emission at 35 gigatons at most. But actually, if we want to reach the 2-degree target, the maximum cap we got is only 25 gigatons. So naturally, we already have 10 gigatons challenge in this target. So from Siemens Energy, actually, we have, let's say, an idea in place is how to tackle this challenge. So I try to. So we understand that actually for the global energy demand, we have 40% is from power, and the remaining is actually for transportation, industrial application, etc., etc. And for this 40% power, actually in the power industry, the renewable share is around 22% of the total consumption. But in the other sector, the renewable share will only be 8%. So which means that actually if we can use more power in other industry sector, actually we will reach more carbon reduction target. So this is why the idea of sector couplings come into place. When we are talking about sector couplings, it's actually we are using more power into other industrial sector in order to reach more decarbonization goal. And how do we do that? Of course, when I discussed with Vincent just minutes ago, if we have the clean power from hydro, wind, or solar, of course the best way is just put directly the electricity into the grid and then just utilize it. But the fact is the renewable power actually will only be focused in some of the key regions where the natural resources is there. And also the renewable power is intermittent. So when we have ramp up of the renewable power, we cannot use it in the electricity grid, then we need to have other means to convey this energy into storage. And of course, in this round, battery will come into the place. But battery can only be in a regional setting. So how can we mobilize those energy around the energy chain? This is why hydrogen come into place. And we believe to reach the climate target, actually we have 5 key elements. So of course, we need to change the power generation fuel from fossil fuel to hydrogen or some renewable source. And of course, we need to better utilize the energy, like energy efficiency and also energy management. And also in the industrial sector, we need to decentralize, decarbonize the process. And at the end, we also need to have hydrogen solution in place. So in this picture, we can visualize how we want to utilize the hydrogen into this application. So when we have the renewable, of course, we put it directly to the grid, but part of it, we can use it to generate electricity. Another part of it, we can use the electrolysis process to store up the hydrogen into the other industrial sector application. So we all know that we have different kind of hydrogen. Today we have gray, and later on we have blue and then green hydrogen. But we all understand green hydrogen has a very high cost, relative comparable to gray and blue hydrogen. So how we tackle this challenge? And here you can see the cost level presently and you can see green actually is much higher than the other color of hydrogen. So in the next session, we were talking about fluids technology on the hydrogen generation. So of course, we have the normal alkali solution, and we have the proton exchange membrane, which is PEM, and also we have the solid state exchange electrolysis process. And among these 3 processes, I would say commercialized, when we put into the operation, actually PEM is more realistic solution. And here we have some characteristic for a PEM solution. And you can see, actually, we have the commercial utilization already. And they do have very good, let's say, purity on the hydrogen. And also, most important of all is the response time to the connection to the grid, which if you put a look is only 5 seconds to 1 minute. That is very essential for a hydrogen application integrated to the power grid. And here, this is an interesting analysis picture. Of course, when we talk about clean hydrogen, we are still lying around like $3.3 per kilogram right now. But if you take a closer look at the graph, actually a big chunk of the money, $2.4 is actually from the power cost. So the idea of bringing down the hydrogen cost, actually we need to make the renewable energy be less expensive. This is why the ramping up of the renewable energy across any continents are very essential. So this is how a Slicer 300 equipment look like. Actually, this is a module type. So you can build on array and then make the system to a very high power capacity. And from 2018, we have our, let's say, Slicer 300, the current version, we can go up to 10 megawatt application already. And 2023, we will make it into 100 megawatt. So only with the scaling up of this kind of facility, we can make the clean hydrogen application being more economical. And here, I just want to show a little bit on a basic infrastructure for a hydrogen production plant. So of course, we have the connection to the grid, and then we have the electrolysis process and plant, and then we compress it and then transit with the logistics. In the next few slides, I want to share some of the real project which is available in Europe at the moment. Together with Kai and Verbund, actually we have a project called H2 Future, has been in place already in 2019. And here we are talking about a 6 megawatt plant for the first generation. And those generated hydrogen actually will be utilized as the steel manufacturing process, where we all know that gray hydrogen is being used in the past. And this project has successfully reduced a lot of carbon emission in the project in Austria. And another one is quite an interesting, I would say, proof of concept project, which here, this is in Chile. We are in partnership with Porsche, where we have the many onshore wind farms in the Patagonia region. And the wind resources there is very good and cannot be utilized all into the electricity demand. And this is why we combine let's say, the renewable energy and using water and then to convey the energy into hydrogen. And later on, because hydrogen is difficult to mobilize, as Isaac mentioned, we have tried to combine the carbon captured from the direct air intake, and then to combine the carbon with the hydrogen as the synthetic fuel. And this synthetic fuels can be used in the, let's say, the conventional fueling station and also the conventional petrol car all over the world. But as we have captured the carbon from the atmosphere and release it back, so the whole chain is net zero. The remaining part I want to share, actually hydrogen generation is possible. So it's no longer the future. At our gas turbine, at the moment, we can have 30 to 40% of co-firing with the natural gas already. And in the company, we are targeting by 2030, our combined cycle power plant actually can generate electricity with 100% hydrogen. And this is, let's say, a co-fund project in France, where the project called High Flex Power. Actually, we are using the renewable energy, compress it, and use it in a conventional industrial gas turbine. And this industrial gas turbine, we use the clean hydrogen to generate electricity, as well as using the hydrogen as a part of the manufacturing process. And this project is right now is still undergoing, and we are targeting by 2023, we will have the complete power plant commission. So I would also like to share some of the very interesting idea about the clean hydrogen production integrated with the offshore wind farm. Of course, this is quite a way to go. And we all know that we have a very big wind turbine foundation, normally offshore, lying around. And we also know that the capacity of the wind power, offshore wind, actually is very limited by the, let's say, the power transmission line undersea, which is limited by the capacity of the cables. And the scientists and also some innovator, they think of just build directly the hydrogen generation plant at the foundation of the offshore wind turbine, so that the hydrogen is generated directly in place offshore and then transit by the pipeline to the onshore. And the pipeline is compared to cable, the capacity can house up to 5 to 6 times of the original capacity. And this project, we are in cooperation with ERM, and then we have a key roadmap that by 2026, actually, we will have the first prototype erected. This is my end of presentation, and thank you.
Thank you very much.